good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition morning scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hope you all enjoyed your extra hour of sleep tonight, or last night. We did, in fact, fall back an hour. Forgot about that, like literally until I was about to go to bed. Eric was like, oh, we fall back. Oh, yeah, November. Anyway, man, LSU loses a heartbreaker yesterday. Played well, just not enough to beat Bama. Had their chances. So 20-14, Tigers fall in Tuscaloosa. Great effort by a lot of guys who none of us thought would be playing at the start of the season. You know, a lot that's, I think, been said, going to be said. But we can delve into it. And then, of course, it's a game day. Who dat? Saints host the Falcons at the Dome. Chance to go to 6-2. Really excited about the game today with the Saints and the Falcons. Get a chance to watch that. See Trevor Siemian. We'll see how he looks as the starter. Maybe an opportunity to maintain that job. You know, I'm still skeptical. See what Sean does when Taysom Hill has a full week. Now he's back from his concussion, but definitely excited to see it today. So, all right, we'll say some good mornings here. Let me know what y'all got. We'll roll. Kyle DeVille, good morning. Hey, Kelly Gross, Drew Brown, Jessica Lambert, Chewy Gutierrez. That game was fun to watch with zero expectations. It's kind of the point, right? Like, we all went in with such a low bar when you got. I'll tell you, man, when it looked like they were going to make it to the half 7-7, I'm like, all right. And then they threw the pick at the end of the first half. And so just like that, it's 14-7. And then Ty Davis Price fumbles on the first possession of the second half. They throw the 58-yarder. It's 20-7. And you're like, well, okay. Well, this is how we expected it would go. It was fun for a half. But man, they were resilient, you know. After that, LSU forced 3 straight 3-and-outs to give themselves a chance. Then finally, you know, and in the mix, Best scored the touchdown amid those 3-and-outs. Gave LSU a shot, man. They had possessions at the end, just couldn't get it done. Clark Tiger Davis, Brandon Atchison. Sucks we can't go after Saban now. Vino Frazier, Danny Brabham, what's up? Like to see how effective Nuss's mobility would be. You know, maybe. I mean, I know there's a lot of people last night on Whiskey and Wine that were saying, you know, why didn't they go to Nussmeier? Maybe criticizing Max Johnson's play. And I mean, the guy, he wasn't flawless, of course. I mean, at this point, I just think, you know, he has the potential to keep developing and get better. But I just think you know, what more? I think people are expecting more from him than he is right now as a sophomore, especially with an average to poor offensive line and lacking real legitimate, you know, playmakers. If Kayshon Boutte out there, maybe that's a different result tonight. Maybe, or last night. Maybe not, but maybe, you know. I guess I just came into this season without grand expectations for Max Johnson, where a lot of people did. And I think that's the disconnect. Merrick Mathern, good morning. Chewy, if you get the right coach and staff, this team could be insane good next year. I don't know that I would go that far. I do think that they could be, you know, if you retain your sophomores that would make up your junior class, and you fill some holes at some pretty key spots, offensive line, linebacker. Yeah, I think you could be a good team, but insane good. I don't think that's sincere. I mean, you threw for 160 yards last night. Let's not lose sight. Just because it was a close game, let's not lose sight of the fact that, like, they played hard, no question, man. They put themselves in a position to win a game when they were a 4-touchdown underdog. But let's not lose sight of the fact that, you know, it wasn't a beauty contest last night. You know what I mean? It would have been fun to win. But Brian Chandler, Sam Bacon, interim ed the best. Kind of true, isn't it? When he's got no pressure, he can let it rip a little bit. He can get guys to play hard. Jeff McKithen, Merrick Mathern. Hate that it gets dark at 5 p.m. Well, Merrick, it's going to happen again next year at this time, too. Brian and Danny Penton, if Fisher is the guy, do you think he brings his recruits with him? I think that happens regardless of who the coach is. I think. Excuse me. I think no matter who the coach is, you see some attrition both ways, right? No matter who it is, they probably gain some recruits they wouldn't have gotten, and they probably lose some recruits they would have had. Kelly Presley, Tim Edwards, more to Matt. If they won't let Max use his legs to move the chains, then 5 is a better option going forward. I don't know that that's the case, Tim, because, again, with Nussmeier, his advantage is he can run. Well, if you're not going to let him run, what does it really matter? And it's hard to say that Nussmeier's a better option because we haven't seen Nussmeier play. Brennan Samaha, what's going on, man? Brandon Atchison, proud of the team, wasn't expecting a heartbreaking loss. That just hurts even more. Jeremy Kling, good morning. Drew Brown, defense played well. They did, man. A lot of guys, out there defensively, I thought played really hard, man. Damone Clark led the team in tackles. First time he didn't have double-digit tackles, so he had 8 tackles in the game. McLaughlin went out with the ankle injury, came back. Baskerville playing with a back injury, played much of the game. Neil Farrell, I thought, was a problem inside. That was his best game of the season. I don't think there's even a question. Even Mike Jones got out there and balled a little bit. Man, Mike Jones had a sack, a tackle, 1.5 tackles for loss, made 5 tackles. It's good to see Mike Jones get out there and play. Even Sony Fanu, he had the pass deflection. Jaquelin Roy, had a tackle for loss in that game. So, got to see a lot of guys play well, man. Shout out to some YouTube over here. Y'all smash that like button. 90 watching on YouTube. Thanks for that. Only 15 likes. See if we can get that up. Otro, what's up, man? So close to screwing up Bama season. You know who's the most sad about it is A&M. Because if LSU had beaten Bama, A&M would control its destiny for the SEC West. Big Boy 46 Hard Knocks, good morning. Johnson Jefferson, I hate y'all so much. You hate who? Jordan McNeese, saw rumor Odell prefers either the 49ers or Saints, former LSU teammates. Cool. I don't know why he'd go to San Francisco. But come on down, man. Matt Plavidal, good morning. Offense stunk once it got to 20-14. Had the ball inside the 5. They didn't have the ball inside the 5. They had the ball at the 7. The long run by TDP got them all the way down to the 8. So, man, that was on 4th and 1. TDP busted it for 37 yards, got all the way down to the 8. Would have been really great if he had a little more juice that he could have scored, but he didn't. So on 1st and goal, you ran Ty Davis Price, and boy, it looked like he was going to get the edge. It was great. I can't remember who it was, but it was a great play defensively. I mean, it looked like TDP was going to turn the corner and score, and guy kind of made like a shoestring, like an ankle tackle. But they threw it on 2nd down. It was incomplete. 3rd down was the Max Johnson fumble that they reviewed and determined it was an incomplete pass, which was the right call. And they went for it on 4th and goal from the 7. Listen, we talked about it a lot on Whiskey and Wine last night. I think with 6.5 minutes to go, you kick the field goal. Your defense is playing well. At that point, Bama hadn't scored since their first possession of the 3rd quarter. You had forced 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out at that point. You'd forced 3 straight 3 and outs. You need not only just gotten stops, you'd forced 3 straight 3 and outs. Like, all you need right there is a stop and then a couple of first downs, really, just to get into Cade York's range to tie the game. And then basically what it does is then you wouldn't need a touchdown to win the game. All you would need is a field goal to tie it and send it to overtime. That's not ideal, but at least it extends the game. I totally understand you're a 4-4 team and you're on the road in Tuscaloosa and a touchdown gives you the lead and now the pressure's on Bama and you're at the 7. I totally understand it. I do. I understand the call. I understand the decision. And had the decision to go for 1 on 4th down worked, it would have been brilliant. But it didn't. And when we were sitting there at Don Juan, I told everybody, I was like, just for the record, I'm saying this now. I'm saying this right now before they run this play. They should kick the field goal right now. Because hindsight's always 20/20 with stuff like that. But I did think in the moment that with 6.5 minutes to play, they should have kicked the field goal. But even after that, they still got the ball back 2 more times, and had a shot into the end zone, which I guess kind of is the point. Like, had you kicked the field goal, you would have had a chance in a tie or win it. Anyway. Trivia, good morning. All right, a little early flying lessons. Carly Cat, good morning. Bubba Tatum, what's up? Jessica Lambert, tell Mimi I said hello. I will, Jessica Lambert. Thank you for watching. Paul Batts, good morning. Bubba Tatum, Florida fans are about to revolt. Mullen C just went from warm to nuclear. Yeah, man, they got housed by South Carolina. That's brutal. We talked about it during the week. There was 2 4-4 football teams, South Carolina and Florida. How different 4-4 feels for those 2 programs. And look at in the joke. Florida got absolutely housed by South Carolina last night. Connor O'Neill. Is it just me, or do LSU's routes take roughly 10 years to develop? Feels like geriatric Jerry Sullivan is drawing up plays. I can't tell you that I'm looking closely enough about how routes develop. I think, there's this feeling from some that Max Johnson holds on to the ball too long, like the 4th down play or the 3rd down play where it looked like he got where he was sacked, but it was an incomplete pass. But then the flip side of it is, man, on the second to last 4th down play before the end of the game, where he had Besh on the 4th and 9 over the middle, he was falling backwards, making the throw. Like, if he had just stepped into the throw, he'd have gotten hit in the chops, there's no doubt. But if he steps into that throw, he probably makes it. So, and then who knows? Jeb Whitley, good morning. Cliff Nelson, morning. Scone, Team Drew, lemon cookies. Yes, sir. Ryan Pike, Matt, as my personal Gamecoin envoy, can you give an update on the whole situation Gamecoin mentioned on Twitter, LOL? Yeah, so what a weird day. All's well. Yesterday I was on air while all that was happening. The executive board decided to freeze trading on Gamecoin temporarily, which, I know it sounds bad, but it's like that happens on the New York Stock Exchange. Like, you see a big drop, it's like freeze trading temporarily just to check to make sure there's nothing nefarious going on. And the whole point of that is just to protect the investors so that one person doing something nefarious doesn't drain the liquidity out of a project. So it sucks. It's not uncommon, but I was on air when all that was happening. So my phone was blowing up. I think a lot of people were just confused because, like, if you looked at the ledger, the public ledger, there was a lot of very weird transactions. So something a lot of people probably don't know is that if you're new to crypto, is that arbitrage is a thing in crypto. Arbitrage is a form of trading where if you're on multiple exchanges, you can buy an asset at a lower price and immediately sell it at a higher price. So, like, you would see if you were looking at the ledger, 20,000 coins bought, then 20,000 coins sold, like almost immediately. Well, there are like apps that do that, and also they would find, and maybe it's like, a fraction of a penny difference, but in aggregate that can become a big number. And actually, the great thing about it. Sorry, I was listening for Drew's backpack. But the great thing about it is, like with Gamecoin, every buy or sell, there's the fee, the 7% fee, where 5% of it goes into the charity wallet and 2% goes back to wallet holders. So it's actually, the more transactions is actually better because more money's going to charity, more coins are going back to the wallet holders. But I think that spooked a lot of people and was causing some panic selling. And there were just some things reflecting. It's like, just to make sure that this isn't nefarious. It's like, let's make sure that there's nothing like unsightly going on. because it's a new smart contract. It's been in place. The developer, Sarah Technologies, they're out in California, and actually the head of, well, I don't like, y'all may know all that, but anyway, suffice to say that a lot of people spent a lot of time starting at like 1:30 a.m. Saturday, making sure that things were on the up and up. Anyway, I'll be back soon. Let's see, where are we? Trivia, real quick. Georgia's going to fold Bama. Paul Batts, screwing up the Gump season, ruining the Gump's lives would have been epic. That would be great. T Streets, would you be open to a coaching search question? Sure. Nuss doesn't want to lose the red shirt. I don't know, Mark. I mean, that is interesting, right? But then if he's going to play, I think they got to make sure they pick which game he's going to play in, If he's going to play one more game. So let me guess. Everyone not named Matt Moscona is down on Mel Tucker. It's funny how 9 days ago, Mel Tucker was like a risky name, and then they beat Michigan. A lot of people are high on Mel Tucker, and now they're not. And I told you that last week, man. You're only as good in the minds of some as your most recent game, but Scott Woodward's not going to be moved by that. And I mean, I still think you're looking at either Jimbo or Mel Tucker. And Jimbo feels like, man, you take your shot. It feels like it's not super likely, and if it's not, then it's Mel Tucker. I mean, that's how I feel about it at this point. So, PTG Toasty, good morning. Tommy Howard, Mullins getting fired Monday between the recruiting comment and the game yesterday. I don't know about that, Tommy. It'd be interesting if they do. But remember, Scott Strickland hired Dan Mullen, and if an AD hires a coach and then fires him, that's as much a blemish on the AD as it is the coach. I mean, from being in the SEC championship game a year ago to being now 4-5 is. Whew. Let's see, we held Bama to 6 yards rushing. Yeah, that includes the sack yardage, but the sack adjusted rushing total was like 49 yards. So still to hold Bama to 49 rush yards is amazing. PTG Toasty, what did I miss with Jimbo? Thought he was a big no. I think Scott Woodward just has always had Jimbo as sort of the apple of his eye. And I think he'll keep making that call and to see if there's a possibility there. I think it's probably slim. But, I mean, until someone is at the podium being introduced, nothing is ever done. Like, done. So, Jesse McGraw, Matt, what you feeling on OBJ and the Saints? I love it, Jesse. Talked about it on really, I think, probably Thursday and Friday's AFR. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on AFR. Especially because, if he clears waivers, you're going to get him for right about $1 million. So, for the remainder of this season, then he could become an unrestricted free agent after the year. But the Saints need a dynamic playmaker, receiver. You've got a championship caliber defense. You've got championship caliber coaching. You have a great offensive line. You got one of the most dynamic offensive players in the league in Kamara. You just don't have a legit game breaker at receiver. Odell would be that. And I think he would make Trevor Siemian better. So I hope it happens. God, I hope it happens. Let's see. Danielle Montgomery, just watched your yesterday morning Scone. You may owe the defense an apology. Danielle, you may be trying to get me rolling again. Somebody asked that last night. I was like, oh, you owe the LSU an apology. Like, so look, listen. If you bump into someone and you spill your drink on their shirt, you apologize. If you have an opinion about a game, you don't apologize for your opinion about a game. I mean, I think I understand what you're saying, but we were all wrong about it. I mean, Jesus, LSU was a 4-touchdown underdog. This is a team that last year lost 55-17 to them. Like, nobody thought this game was going to be, sure, not a 4-quarter game, but good for them, man. They played really hard. They played really hard. Bama was out of sorts. They played terrible last night, but LSU stepped up, man. You had dudes like Pig Cage running around and Sony Fanu and, I mean, Greg Penn, a freshman linebacker's running around making plays. Ray Darius Jones. I mean, It was incredible. Good for those guys for stepping up and playing a great game. Defense played great yesterday. They did. I mean, whenever Bama lost its center and their right tackle had to flip over to center and they had to put in the new right tackle, when they shuffled their offensive line, you could tell. I thought immediately about Mike D. His old line about, the week after a team loses its starting center, they fail to cover 80% of the time. I thought about Mike D immediately, man. Look how out of sorts Bama was, man. The fumbled snap, the missed protections. I mean, they were an offense that was out of sync yesterday for a lot of reasons, and LSU deserves a lot of credit for it. Michael Mills, Purdue took it to Michigan State. You think it was coaching? Both teams look slow at the skill positions. I mean, Michael Mills, somebody told y'all Purdue was going to win that game. Y'all going to crush me for saying LSU was going to get crushed by Bama like everybody thought, and at least I'm going to get credit for that. Mark Allen, we even called blitzes. Can we tell this coaching staff that we are playing Bama for the rest of the year? Donald Amy, what's up? Tommy Howard, it's fair to say that A&M is the second best team in the SEC right now. I think so. I mean, they beat Bama head-to-head. I think they got the best defense outside of Georgia. And as good as Georgia is, y'all, they need more at quarterback play. I mean, Stetson Bennett, whenever they play, when they punch at their own weight, Stetson Bennett's going to have to be better. Or they got to play JT Daniels, who did play late in the game yesterday. Spurge, what's up, man? Morning, Matt. Given everything against the team prior to the effort those young men brought, would have been easy to phone it in. That's true. Let's see. Another Louisiana player kills LSU. Mathis, we need to shut down the state. I know it won't happen until Saban is gone. I don't know. Well, not completely shut it down, but Fidarian Mathis did play great yesterday. I mean, he was all up in the backfield. 9 tackles, sack, tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hurries. I mean, he lived in the backfield. Liam Shanahan couldn't handle him. I mean, anyway. But I agree. I'll tell you something else, though, man. Something just to file this away. Kevin Garrett, what was with the bogus intentional grounding? How weird was that? Like, the receiver didn't catch the ball, intentionally didn't catch the ball. And so they called intentional grounding. I've never seen that. Because intentional grounding is a penalty on the quarterback, not on the receiver refusing to catch the ball. I don't know how the receiver refusing to catch the ball is any different than a running back going down, like refusing to score, or it's just clock manipulation. So I mean, it's just strategic clock manipulation. But anyway, or a defensive back like not getting an interception, batting it down instead of like intercepting it at the 1, right? So you get the ball different field position. I don't know. It was weird. What was I gonna? Can somebody? What was I talking about? Oh, that's right. Matt Plavidal asked. About locking down the state. So here's something I will mention, and just file this away. So there have been a lot of players out of Tangipahoa who have gone to Alabama, gone to other places, in large part because you all know the story about the barber, who has sort of an altruistic side of him, because he basically takes a lot of these kids on his own dime and drives them all over the country to all these camps to get them seen, to get them an opportunity to go play college football. Well, he obviously has a great relationship with Nick Saban, and not a great relationship necessarily with Ed Orgeron. Being that he has such a great relationship with Alabama, I'll tell you there are two current head coaches that were former Bama assistants with whom he has a good relationship, and they are Billy Napier and Mel Tucker. So if Mel Tucker were to get the LSU job, I think you do start pulling kids from Tangipahoa. I think if Mel Tucker is a coach, a kid like Devontae Smith or Softshire, they end up at LSU. File that away. Let's see. Bradley Abity. Y'all need to stop bashing Max. These are going fast. Sorry. By the way, I'm not bashing Max. Maybe that's a comment to other people commenting. But I'll repeat here what I said last night. What I've said a lot about Max Johnson is the disappointment I think that a lot of fans have with the quarterback position stems from the fact that so many fans watched 2 games at the end of last year, saw Max throw for a bunch of yards, and ordained him the next great quarterback. And I will tell you that this coaching staff wanted Max Johnson to win the job in spring. They wanted it to be a decided issue going into fall camp. And it just didn't happen. Max didn't pull away. And so they were going into fall camp with a legitimate quarterback battle. And it was one that was not decided, and that I thought I believe strongly that Miles Brennan was going to start the opener. And what I said all throughout the summer was, I don't know if Miles Brennan's going to keep the job. He's got to play well enough to keep it, but I think he'll start, and both will play, but we'll see who ultimately wins it during the season. So I think that's where a lot of the issue stems from, is that a lot of people just believed Max Johnson was going to be great. And I think the fact that he's a young player, starting, as a first-time starting quarterback, where he's not had a good offensive line, and he has had a very average to poor play caller in Jake Peets, it's made it very difficult for Max, or any quarterback, honestly. But he's a sophomore. He's got plenty of room to improve and get better. I always think back to Joe Burrow's 2018, where Joe Burrow was just a very average game manager in 2018. Joe Burrow in 2018, Joe Burrow did not throw a touchdown pass in the month of October. Do you realize that? He went the entire month of October without throwing a touchdown pass. And then in November, you started to see him get better, and then it culminated with the big game in the Fiesta Bowl against Central Florida, and then he just catapulted into 2019 after that and had that great year. But I guess that's the point with Max, is I came into this season not expecting 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. I had measured expectations for him this year. I think a lot of people didn't, and that's why you have a lot of that. So anyway, let's see. Ryan Amanda Guidry, 2 things: love the blitzing, aggressive defense. Didn't love how they kept running the counter towards Anderson. Come on, he's a beast, man. He's one of the best defensive players in football. Charlie Cavell, what's up? Clayton Knight. Let's see. Charlie said, wait, the wide receiver wasn't eligible. Oh, when Bryce Young threw the ball to the receiver, it was. So I was watching the second half at Don Juan, so we did not have the TV on, so I didn't hear any explanation of it. So that's what they were saying, is that the receiver was attached, so he was the end man on the line, so he was basically not eligible, is what you're saying? That's interesting. A weird formation. So the Clayton Knight, the delay of game on the defense is typically when the if the like a defender is calling out the snap count. Sometimes you might get in a sportsmanlike conduct, but you get a delay of game if the defender is calling out the snap count, which might have happened. Again, I was watching without sound, so I don't know exactly what they called. Keith Rosenbach, how does LSU finish the season? Another historical lull and players deflated after the Bama game. You know what, Keith? That really hasn't happened under Orgeron. That was a Miles thing, for sure. We talked about that a lot during Les's time in Baton Rouge. But that hasn't happened under Ed. So, I think they'll go play a great game against Arkansas this week, and I think they'll win. I think they'll beat Arkansas in Baton Rouge. And then I think they'll beat ULM and lose to A&M. They'll finish 6-6 and go to bowl game. Officials missed a target in number 10. Led with the crown and hit Johnson in the head. Should have at least been reviewed. I don't know which play you're talking about, Brandon. But I can go back and look. JT Taylor, what's Kyle Milliken, the receiver was covered up, therefore was ineligible. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Okay. So that's what Charlie was saying. Okay, that's the explanation I missed being at Don Juan. Okay. Emil and Buddy Ray. Think Alabama wide receiver. Okay, yeah, got it. If Auburn, yes, Neil. If Auburn wins the Iron Bowl, then A&M would go to Atlanta. Yes. If A&M wins out and Bama loses one more time, A&M would have the tiebreaker over Alabama. Jason Austin, a loss is a loss. So glad LSU showed heart on the biggest stage. I'm glad you said that, Jason. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to throw too many bouquets because you still lost the game. And here's my point. Like, let me explain. Probably 209 watching on YouTube. That's awesome. Please smash that like button. Only 57 likes. Please see if we can get that like button up. We appreciate it greatly. 164 on Facebook. Thank you all so much. Please like the page, share the post. All that is very much appreciated. So thank you. For a lot of years, older LSU fans. I mean, there's like old fans. You know what I mean? They would rave about the 1979 LSU USC game, where number one USC came into Baton Rouge and LSU played them tough and LSU lost it at the end. It was like this revered game, and I've never understood it because you lost. And, you don't understand, they were underdogs. Yeah, but you're LSU. You're LSU. You've won 4 national titles now and played for a 5th. You don't need to celebrate close losses. I mean, that would be like celebrating that 79 SC game is like celebrating the 2012 Alabama loss, the Yeldon game. Like, it's disgusting. You're LSU and you expect to win. Like, you shouldn't be in a position where you're a 4-touchdown underdog and give it your all. Like, that's not what this program is. I'm not going to celebrate games like that. The guys play hard, yes, and good for them, and hopefully it's something they build on. But I don't think that's one that you just like, put a little asterisk next to, and remember for all time because they played really hard as a 4-touchdown underdog. We remember the 1993 game because LSU won the game in Tuscaloosa as a big underdog. So anyway, Bradley Burns, San Petito, also why Bama gets players out of that area. There's several, but I'm telling you, like, I ain't guessing, brother. I'm telling you, like, the barber from Tangipahoa loads up the van and brings these kids to camps all over that can't afford to go. He does it on his own dime, and he helps facilitate getting these kids opportunities. And he's kind of been shut out at LSU, and Bama welcomed him. You see a lot of kids go to Bama. If Mel Tucker or Billy Napier here, I'm told that would change. Let's see. Brian Champagne, running is part of his game. Ed took that away. If it's Ed or if it's Pete's, I don't know. But they don't run the quarterback, which is crazy. I mean, there would have been so many great opportunities to run a quarterback draw last night. They just didn't. They just haven't all year. And you say, look, man, Max is hurt too. But he hadn't run all year, so it doesn't really hold water. Morgan Miller, what's up, bro? Hope all is well over in Kansas. That's my brother-in-law. He and my sister are expecting twins. How about that? They went from 2 to 4 in a hurry. Oh, man. Chewy Gutierrez, the Ark and Frauds escape because Leeds can't recruit a kicker. They missed 3 field goals. How about that? Ark and Frauds. Ark and Frauds. They needed 3 missed field goals to escape little old Mississippi State, which lost to LSU at home, and to Memphis. Ark and Frauds. Daniel Laurent, you can obviously see Max is frustrating with the play calling all year. It takes forever. Get the play in. It hurts his game. Yeah, I agree with that. Corey Lalonde, what's up? A little gun-shy due to the pressure. There's some of that, I think. Chase Pellegrin, Max's problem is he stares at one receiver the whole time. That's not true. If you focus on that on one game, and then you never know what like the read is, the play call is. So I tend to just shun comments like that because you don't know the play call, and you might be, and you're not watching an all 22 either. Like you're not watching an all 22 view of the game. So anyway, Chris Andropont, would you be mad with Napier at LSU? I wouldn't be mad, Chris, but I'm just telling you he's not getting the job. Brad Osborne, it was a trick play to get the defense to look at the check down. Okay, been over that one already. All right. All right, let me jump back to YouTube. As always, appreciate y'all watching. Shout out to Brock, Banners Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. If you got a blue tarp, remember, Hudco Roofing. If you need an inspection, we are back to schedulers doing normal inspections, not IDA-related. Or if you need an IDA-related inspection, we can do that. But we are back, staffed up, materials, full go, pedal to the metal. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Or just email me directly, Matt@HudcoRoofing.com. Ryan Dixon, it's interesting Joe Brady didn't fight very hard to keep Jake Peets. Be careful to those bearing gifts. I kind of understand the sentiment there, Ryan. I don't know that I necessarily agree because in coaching, everybody wants advancement, right? So, you should recommend people for advancement along the way. I understand your point, but I also think that is sort of the nature of football. It's a transient sport, and guys are always looking to progress upward, and you help along that way. Bob Champagne, how far does Bama drop in the college football playoff rankings? It'll be interesting, Bob, because Oregon did win yesterday, and Michigan State lost. So who jumps in? I can't say that Cincinnati jumps in after a close call against Tulsa. So, Ohio State likely jumps in. Maybe Oregon jumps. You know what I mean? I don't know that Bama falls too far because there just isn't really an obvious suitor to take their spot this week. But Michigan State falls out and Ohio State jumps in. I think that's what happens. And Oregon probably moves up because Oregon has the head-to-head over Ohio State. So it probably stays Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State. That's probably your four. Thomas Lamont, this Bama team doesn't have the same mojo most Bama teams have. At this point, I'd be surprised if anyone but Georgia wins the title. That's fair. Georgia needs better quarterback play, though. Jeb Whitley, Matt, you think Raymond and Davis survive the transition? Also, have you ever had Noah's Mill from Willett? Good stuff. Hope you're having a good weekend. Thank you, Jeb. Yeah, man, I have had Noah's Mill. Noah's Mill, Rowan's Creek, both pretty good. I like them. And yes, I think Corey Raymond and Brad Davis are the two on-field staffers that will be retained, regardless of who the next coach is. So, yes, I do. Raymond is an obvious one for obvious reasons, and Davis, they signed him to a 3-year contract, whenever they hired him away from Arkansas. And reputation as a great technical offensive line coach, really good recruiter from Baton Rouge, SEC ties, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think Raymond and Brad Davis will remain on staff with the new coach. Mike, I heard, watch the game in bits. Every throw I saw to Jenkins were catchable, and he dropped them all. That's not true. Trey Jenkins had a big third down conversion. He was on the touchdown drive. Where was it? Yeah, 1st and 15. Jenkins caught a 13-yard pass. This is only one. They only had 160 passing yards in the game, so it ain't like there was a ton of offensive statistics in the game. Dude, Trey Jenkins was the leading receiver. He had 4 for 54 yards. He was their leading receiver, bro. Oh, man. Let's see. Prediction, Dave Aranda will be LSU's next head coach. Big boy, you want to bet? Big boy, 46 Hard Knocks. You want to bet? Name your terms. Name your terms, bro. It ain't going to be Dave Aranda. I don't even know that Dave Aranda is being considered for this job. The fans like to talk about Dave Aranda. Literally nobody associated with this search has mentioned Dave Aranda once. Starting to look at investing in more blockchain coins. It's a great alternate asset. Do your research. Definitely do your research. Beavis, I'll 100% take that, not a blowout. I agree with you, for sure. Chris Keller, what's up? Matthew Rogelio, what's up? Boo Daddy, go get Matt Rule. Yeah, the tough part with the NFL guys, obviously, is the schedule, is the timing, right? Because you have a December signing period, are you really going to wait until January to bring in your coach? You miss the December signing period when 80% of high school athletes sign. So tough if you do that, if you go that route. Bulldogger, what's up? Who dat? Let's go. Jared Guillory, right? Shouldn't get moved on coaches, one loss, but also one season as well. Tucker's not at this point of his career. Jared Guillory, I think you might want to start getting used to the likelihood of Mel Tucker being the next LSU head coach. Merrick Mathern, is Pig his real name or is that a nickname? Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and guess it's a nickname. But let's see. I mean, I know his story. Went to Rummel and then played the spring season at Nichols. Maybe it is Pig. Maybe that's his name. Parents are Quincy and Yvonne Cage. 4 siblings: Quincy, Quinn, Cameron, and Caden. Quincy plays wide receiver for Nichols. It doesn't say, full name or real name, given name or anything like that. Interesting. Maybe his name is Pig. Maybe his real name is Pig. I don't know. Good question. I'll find out. Let's see. Given what 18 is supposed to represent, my take is Damone might be the truest number 18 ever. Your thoughts? What's interesting about it, Sean B, is there were a lot of people last year who thought Damone Clark didn't deserve 18 because he didn't play well. But he has really, really played well this year. He's been awesome. He's been awesome, no doubt. Gulf South, LSU's freshman squad almost beat the number 2 team in the country with a staff that's already fired. Crazy, true. Would you take Jeff Brom as the LSU head coach? Yeah, but I don't think he's leaving Purdue. He's been pretty adamant about that. Like, he's had opportunities to leave. He keeps signing extensions. That's a weird one. How he keeps, sticking there. But some dudes just are respect, man. When you love where you are and you love what you do and who you're coaching, I mean, okay, good on you, man. Let's see. Aslan Zadine. Good Sunday evening, Matt, from Malaysia. You still feel Mel Tucker would be good for LSU? What about OC and DC? I do. I think Walltown Best 88. I'm an LSU fan. I want to say congrats on the win. We made y'all earn it, but y'all still won. Walltown. I'm not a Bama fan. Like, that's my son literally in an LSU jersey. All of this stuff is LSU stuff. Like, but we're glad you're here. Maybe you're talking to the Alabama fans that are in the chat. Anyway, yeah, I think Mel Tucker would do a great job here. I mean, if you're not gonna get someone that's won championships, and your list is short, it's Saban, Dabo, Jimbo, Mac Brown, and Ed Orgeron. I mean, active head coaches that have won a title, right? I mean, unless if you went and scooped Urban Meyer from Jacksonville, Bob Stoops out of retirement, I don't know that any of those options sound awesome. There's this infatuation with Lincoln Riley among some, and he has certainly continued the success that was built there by Stoops. But I also can't ignore their epic failures year in and year out in the playoff. And I think there's something to be said with a Mel Tucker who has NFL experience, who was the interim head coach in Jacksonville. His coach, Saban hired him 4 times. We've talked about that a good bit. He's been all over. Tons of SEC experience. Can recruit his behind off. been a head coach at Colorado, now at Michigan State. I think there's something to be said for it, man. You give that guy the resources of an LSU, that could be your guy who's here for 15 years and wins you a few more natties. You know, I some people want an offensive-minded coach. I could certainly see the merit in hiring good offensive coordinators and giving them the reins and making sure you're a sound defensive team. Look at the last 2 years, you know, and look at Georgia. And you can still be dominant defensively in this day and age. So I don't hate that idea. No. Let's see. Jared Keller. We know he wants one season Tucker, but it's Scott's decision. Okay, Jared. I mean, I'm not sitting there telling you I'm making the decision. Of course I'm not. But you better get used to the idea of Mel Tucker because there's a reason he's the odds-on favorite in Vegas. And people keep asking who's going to be the coach. I'm telling you, I think Scott's gonna keep taking his shots at Jimbo, and if he doesn't land, he's gonna hire Mel Tucker. So you're gonna need to get used to that idea. Nick, I'm claiming last night as a championship, printing the shirts, $15.99. Hit me up. Oh man, McLaughlin came to play last night. Yes, indeed. Jason Trump, I'm so glad these young players are. Play was hell of a game. Sorry, I can't read that. Good morning, though. Why I feel like watching you and T-Bob last night. You're the big brother keeping the little brother in check for playing too much. That's kind of how because Dwayne, that's kind of how it goes. Yes. T-Bob gets there early. He drinks all during the game. When we start whiskey and wine, I'm stone cold sober because I haven't had anything all day. And while we do the show, I have one drink and I smoke my cigar. T-Bob is far more inebriated. So, yes, there is that element. No doubt. The high five yesterday was funny though. T-Bob. I baited him in. I was like, dude, that was so good, man. Craig did that. Like, I was giving him a high five, and he went to lift his hand. I went, nope. It was so good. I need to go clip that. That was so good. Oh, man, that was so good. Let's see. Stephen Bond. More about anything new on the coaching? Thanks. I mean, nothing that we haven't already talked about a bunch, with where they are. Again, I think, like I've said, fans are going to react a lot to what happens week in and week out. Scott Woodward won't. Like, he's going to be much more measured, and he'll hire the guys he thinks is best. Kevin Langlanay, good morning. Saints, OBJ, is that possible? Yeah, it is. If he clears waivers, he can sign wherever he wants, and the Saints are going to be on that list. I think Saints, Raiders will be on that list. Chris and Vanessa Mesh Domain, go Tigers. Dan Stowers, good morning. Sean Berthelot, they don't have the cap space to get him on the waiver wire. If he clears waivers, the Saints can get him for way cheaper. And that's the thing, too, Sean. I don't think anybody's going to sign Odell. Is going to put a waiver claim in on Odell because you got to pay him $7.5 million. So I don't know who would pay Odell $7.5 million for the remainder of this season. You know what I mean? Like, you'd pay him $7.5 million for the remainder of the season without a guarantee that you'd be able to sign him long term after this year. So, yeah, I think they got a shot for sure. Tanya Grant, for me, I'm definitely not saying it was satisfying to lose by only 6, but it was good, amazing, considering past effort to see our guys play for 60 minutes. All that's true. John Bro, morning, Matt. Great fight by the Tigers last night. Should have won. Now under our Saints beating the hated Falcons. OBJ, come home. That would certainly polish off this weekend, man. If Saints were able to score a win over Atlanta today, and if Monday Odell clears waivers And we find out Tuesday that he signed with the Saints. Come on down, bro. Let's go. Let's see, Jason Austin. When, if Georgia beats Bama in the SEC championship, does that put Bama out of the playoffs for good? I would think so, Jason. Remember, a two-loss team has never made the playoff. And I think the only way a two-loss team would get in is if it was a two-loss conference champion. For example, let's say hypothetically, if Texas A&M wins out, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm giving you a hypothetical. If Texas A&M wins out and Bama loses to Auburn, A&M goes to the SEC championship game. If A&M beats Georgia, I think Georgia and A&M both get in the playoff. I think a two-loss SEC champion, Texas A&M, with wins over Alabama and Georgia, gets in. So I think there's a possibility there. But if Bama loses in the SEC championship to Georgia, I think they're out. Brian Madare, morning, Matt. Here's a new name to ponder. Jeff Brom from Purdue. What do you think? I think Jeff Brom's a great coach. Like I said before, I think Brom is pretty much committed to Purdue. He keeps signing extensions there, does a really good job. He's shunned some big interest in the past. And, I think Scott Woodward's already zeroed in on his targets, man. Georgia's quarterbacks are no different than Flynn, Mock, and Met. Team is led by great defense with a quarterback who can win you the game. So, Chase, I think that is a really stupid comment. I'm not calling you stupid. I think that is a stupid comment. Stetson Bennett is a former walk-on who's like 5'10" and has a noodle arm. Flynn, Mock, and Mettenberger were all NFL draft picks that played in the National Football League. All had big skill sets that allowed them to lead their team. Mettenberger was like a 5-star, man. He's like 6'6" and could throw the ball 75, 80 yards. Huge arm. Matt Flynn was a high 4-star quarterback that played 10 years in the NFL. Matt Mock was drafted in the NFL and decided to cut his career short to go to dental school. But, that's a terrible comparison, man. The game has changed some where obviously offenses have become more wide open. But the skill set alone of the three guys that you mentioned there is drastically different than Stetson Bennett. And no disrespect, he's got a great story. Walking on to Georgia, leaving, going to lower level, and they bring him back as a walk-on, and he gets to start. I mean, it's a great story. But there's going to be a game where you run up and you're going to need some more out of your quarterback play than what that kid gives you. So that's a Chase. That's a really, really bad comparison. Chewy Gutierrez, what's up? Mike Jones had a hell of a game. Let's see. UGA could start me at quarterback and beat Bama. I don't know about that, but Georgia's defense is incredible. Scott Jones, LSU's interim head coach, really coaches the players up last night. Maybe LSU will hire. Well done. Jason Skinny Horn, good morning. Mark Dubé, Matt, I look forward to watching you and T-Bob after each game. What will we do when the season's over? Well, there won't be any games. So, debating if we're going to keep Scone and T going after football season. Maybe once a week. We'll see. Jared Fly League Scott, LSU is extremely talented roster. Our backups are starters everywhere else. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. It depends. Yeah. Jason Austin, how do you deal with T-Bob constantly interrupting you during whiskey and wine? They say I'm the one that always interrupts, and he never, ever, ever shuts up on that show. He never lets me, he constantly interrupts me. So I'm going to keep reminding him of that. Dylan Landry, Patrick Cason. Matt was Clark's line last night. 8 tackles. Let's see. He had 8 tackles. All right. 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defended. Really good night for Damone Clark. He should be an All-American. If he's not, it's criminal. Bradley Abedy, Ross Meir, any updates on Game Point? I did say that, Ross, I did mention earlier, no worries. I don't mind saying it again for those who just jumped aboard. By the way, 232 watching on YouTube. Thank y'all so much. Over 100 likes at 116. Please smash that like button. Facebook like the page, share the post. Yeah, so Ross, I was on air yesterday when all that was happening. Basically, I mean, freezing trading, while not ideal, is also not uncommon. I mean, it happens on the New York Stock Exchange. When you have what looks like suspicious activity, like, I mean, the stock exchange, price drops 50% in a day. They freeze trading just to check it out to make sure that there's nothing nefarious. And the whole point of that is to protect the people who have invested their money so they don't get, you know, one bad egg doing something they shouldn't be doing, draining liquidity. I know a lot of people have questioned some of like the curious buys and sells. Like if you look at the ledger, you'll see like 20,000 bought and sold like instantly. That's called arbitrage, which is, I mean, there are apps and bots that run arbitrage, which when your token is available on multiple exchanges, sometimes different exchanges have different prices, and they might be marginal, but when the margins aggregate, it can be a big number, right? So like if on one, it's like Gamecoin's available on PancakeSwap, and it was traded at 3 cents, 3.5 pennies, whatever, or down to 2, whatever. So if you're like, if one exchange has it at 0.028 and the other has it at 0.025, well, if you could buy it at 0.025 and sell it immediately at 0.028, well, you made 0.003. Well, times 20,000 tokens, and you keep doing that over and over, then you can make money. So, I mean, that's not illegal or anything wrong. I think a lot of people were confused by it. It did cause some panic selling, but I think also the way just certain things were reflecting on the ledger and everything, that they wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that was written in the code wrong, and the way the reflections were showing up. Just it was the right decision. That all happened while I was on air yesterday, doing pregame show. So afterwards, I kind of got a brief explanation. But look, man, the people who run Gamecoin, man, Dave Mailer, their executive team, the developers at Sarah Technologies, they're smart people, and they're doing right by everybody. And that was a decision that nobody wanted to have happen, but it was like, just do this temporarily, just to check to make sure there's nothing, nefarious going on. Because, I mean, the worst case scenario is you just excuse it, and someone's bleeding liquidity out of a project, and then everyone's left holding the bag. So, anyway, it'll be back soon. And it'll be better for it, right? Clayton Knight, I'm still laughing at the dude who's tapping T-Bob on the shoulder, then turning around like it wasn't him. Tom Grandy, good morning. Brian Champagne, every AD, one bet higher from losing their job. Yeah. I mean, okay. Darren Gagnon, good morning. Bama's total rushing yards was 6. I mean, their sack adjusted was 49. That's why I hate that sack yardage counts against a rushing total. But even still, 49 rushing yards is, for Bama, amazing showing by the LSU defense, for sure. How do you think last night impacts recruiting? I don't know that it does. I think fans tend to I've just learned this over the year talking to all the recruiting guys. Like, fans focus on the result of a game. The recruits really don't. Recruits focus on who their coach is going to be, their position coach maybe, like, do they have immediate playing time? Can they get to the NFL? Sort of that stuff. Oh, good stat there, Tom. Bama had scored 30 or more points in 34 straight games until last night. Wow, what a streak. Andrew Batto, any coaches you think will be retained? Yes, I think Corey Raymond and Brad Davis will be retained. Devin Kelly, somebody needs to dub the Godding video over that high five sequence. I was dying laughing. I need to go clip it. Matt, how does Max compare to other LSU quarterbacks not named Burrow? I mean, the tough part is, Patrick, I think we tend to think of guys in their finished product state as opposed to, like, where were they as true sophomores? Or where were they after 10 starts sort of thing. So, how many guys have started as true sophomores for LSU? I mean, Jordan Jefferson in 2009. Burrow, no. Etling was a transfer. Brandon Harris in 2015 was a true sophomore. So that was a team that they basically just leaned on Leonard Fournette running like crazy. They didn't really throw the ball much. They just leaned on Fournette. Anthony Jennings in 2014 was a true sophomore. That didn't go so hot. You know what I mean? Met was a transfer. 11, they had veteran guys. 10, so not Jefferson in 2009. You see what I mean? It's just, so the guys that we've seen start as true sophomores were Anthony Jennings in 2014 and Brandon Harris in 2015. Compare those two seasons to Max Johnson's season this year. Well, maybe I'll do that. That'd be a good deal on the show tomorrow. Let's see. Let me search Brandon Harris. Brandon Harris 2015. Okay. Brandon Harris in 2015. This will be interesting, right? Stats. Brandon Harris in 2015. Here we go. He threw for 2,165 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So 2,165, 13 and 6. 2,165, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks. Max Johnson, and that was in 13 games. Max Johnson has thrown for 2,169, 22, and 6. So in 4 fewer games, he's thrown for the same number of yards. What did I say here? Is that 13 touchdowns? 9 more touchdowns and the same number of picks. I mean, he's better. Let's see. Do you think they'll keep the linebacker coach on staff? Y'all asking about Blake Baker. I think Blake Baker's done a good job with these linebackers. Absolutely. I'm just telling you what I've heard, y'all. What I've heard is that Corey Raymond, like Austin Thomas is going nowhere. Corey Raymond, Brad Davis, those are the ones. Everyone else I think is TBD. But I'm very confident telling you that Corey Raymond and Brad Davis will be back. And Austin Thomas, of course, will be, because that was a Scott hire, like I told y'all when it was made. As people like to say, well, Ed Orgeron brought Austin Thomas back. No, he didn't. Scott Woodward brought Austin Thomas back. Austin Thomas left because of Orgeron and Panamsky. He didn't want to leave, but I didn't want to work for them. A lot of people. All right, Ultimate Warrior, what's up? Spurge, final score for the Saints game. Give me New Orleans 26-20, Spurge. 26-20, Saints. Let's see. Matt, what's your opinion on burning Nuss's red shirt? Jeb, I think that's up to him. I do. I mean, I think that's you're a 4-5 football team. You got 3 games to go. That's really a question of, hey, Garrett, do you want to play 5 years of college football? If the answer, I mean, I think for him, you protect that year because you never know, when your opportunity may come. But I wouldn't burn it, but that's up to him. If he says, look, there's no chance I'm playing 5 years of college football, then play him if there's an opportunity. But is there an opportunity? You can play one more game. Maybe it's, if you're boat racing ULM, you give them the whole second half, something like that. Matt Plavidal. Matt, is your gut saying Tucker will be the next coach? I agree. I don't think Jimbo is hired. Matt, I don't do my gut thing. I don't do gut feeling. It's too important of something that you can't get wrong. I don't tell you what my gut feeling is. I just give you opinions based on information that I have. And at this point, I'm fairly confident saying that I think Scott Woodward will keep calling Jimbo Fisher until the bitter end. And if that's a no-go, then I think Mel Tucker's the coach, based on everything I've been able to gather to this point. The other thing I'll say, and this is important, this is the part nobody ever pays attention to, is a deal is never done until it's done, like coach at the podium being introduced. I mean, you can have deals and agreements in principle. LSU's had that before. LSU had an agreement in principle with Kevin O'Sullivan to be the baseball coach. He's not the baseball coach. LSU had a deal in principle with Tom Herman in 2016. He never showed up. They had a deal in principle with Jimbo Fisher in 2015. They couldn't push that across the finish line. So it's never done until it's done. You got a month to go still. So, you know. John Kuhn, winning is winning. Does Mickey stay? That would be an interesting, Kyle. Mickey Joseph would be interesting. Could certainly recruit New Orleans. I think Mickey's done a great job on staff. You know, Mickey joined staff because look, you've got to have at LSU you have to have someone that can recruit New Orleans. And I don't know if everyone understands this, but you have to have someone with ties because the high school head football coaches in New Orleans are a very close knit, almost cliquish community. I don't mean that in a negative way at all. But you have to have someone on staff that is respected by or has been a part of that community. That's why Frank Wilson was on staff. When Frank left to be the coach at UTSA, Jabbar Jalouk got that job. And then after, Jalouk was gone after a year and went to Texas Tech, they hired Mickey Joseph. And, Mickey had never coached receivers in his life. But I'll tell you the thing that I respect so much, and you guys, any coach on that staff, they'll say nobody works harder than Mickey Joseph. Like, he's made himself into a really good receivers coach. So I would love it if Mickey Joseph stays on staff. I think he's become a really look at the receivers. He's become a really valuable asset on the staff. I mean, that's kind of an incredible advancement or I don't say promotion or production, but Mickey Joseph basically learning how to be a receivers coach has been awesome. 245 watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. Please smash that like button. As always, shout out to Brock, Patterns Orthopedic Clinic. Remember, the After Hours Clinic is open today, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. We are taking inspections now. So a lot of people have been asking, can you inspect my roof? Immediately post Ida, we just didn't have the manpower or the time to go do inspections because it was all people with holes in their roof from the storm. Like, it was like, if you don't know that you have damage, you're in a good spot, so just sit tight. Let's take care of all the people who have like holes in their roofs, active leaks and stuff like that. So we're at a point now where we're getting through that and we can start doing inspections again. So I can even facilitate. So if you want, you can email me directly, matt@hudcoroofing.com, matt@hudcoroofing.com, or go to the website, hudcoroofing.com, fill out the contact form right on the homepage. Do you think the announcement for the new coach will happen before or after LSU's last game of the year? After. Does Falk stay? No. Jared Weems, Matt, why can't LSU find a head coach to sustain seasons like a Georgia and Bama? We have athletes just like them. It's pretty clear, Jared, that LSU does not have athletes like them, especially on the line of scrimmage. But that's the hope, is that you get a coach that can. Troy Plummer, what's going on? Jared Guillory's all about the Mel Tucker thing, man. I've never said, Jared, that Mel Tucker is my guy. I'm just telling you what I hear. Let's see. Robert Potts, Matt, everyone keeps saying Woodward swings big. Mel Tucker may be awesome, but like Napier, he doesn't have a long history of winning championships. Please explain why he's a big hire. Well, was Jay Johnson a big hire? I think Scott will shoot for the upper decks, but he has his ceiling or his floor. He has his floor. He's like, this is the guy that if I don't get any of these guys, Jimbo, Dabo, Lincoln Riley, whatever. I don't get these guys, I'm not going below this because I know this guy's going to take the job. And I think that's Mel Tucker. So if he doesn't hit on any of these, I think Mel Tucker's the guy. Let's see. Boo Daddy, not being named, but Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. I have mentioned that before. They did reach out to Brian Kelly. I have no problem saying that definitively, that Brian Kelly sort of vetted the job, made some calls to people around here, and declined. Not that he was offered. I want to be very clear. Not that he was offered the job. He just declined to be pursued. Just wasn't interested. LSU should get a guy who coached in the NFL like Mike Ditka. Yes, you should get Mike Ditka. Let's see. Trey Gray, good morning. Enjoy your shows. Thank you, Trey. Sean B. If you've got solid information on Mel Tucker, do a Hudco ad right now by taking off your hat and wiping your brow. Chris Hayes, what's up? GMEX by the dip. Yes, indeed. Excited to go back live again. Hopefully that's soon. Any given Saturday, what's up? 240 in England. All right. Go Tigers. Who dat? Sent you an email last month from 145 email. Oh, please resend. If I didn't reply, I try to reply to every email. So email, text, I try my best to reply to all of them. But so just resend if I didn't reply. Matt, is it Jimbo or Tucker? If it was those two, do you have a preference? If it was those two, I would tell you Jimbo. I would always err on the side of the guy who's done it before, the guy who's won a national championship, who's 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the first round of the draft. Yeah, I mean, he can recruit. He's won at the highest level. I would always eliminate, variables if possible. Where are we? Tucker 16-12 as a head coach. Do you think LSU is going to hire him? I do, actually. I think that there's a great chance that they hire him. And I think context matters. Like, for example, look at Matt Rule, okay? When you inherit a situation, sometimes the situation is terrible. And so your overall record doesn't look good and doesn't tell the whole story. So here's an example with Matt Rule. Matt Rule's career record in college is 47-43. He's barely a 500 coach. But he inherited Temple, which is one of the worst jobs in college football. Went 2-10 his first year. Then went 6-6, 10-4, and 10-3. I'd say that's a hell of a run. But his cumulative record was 28-23. I'm thinking about his complaining. Baylor, same thing. He inherited Baylor after the Art Briles mess. Went 1-11 in his first year. From 1-11, he went 7-6, then 11-3. So his cumulative record is 47-43. But dude's a really good coach. Nobody can debate that. I think you could say similar with Mel Tucker. Small sample size, but he inherited an awful Colorado football team, and in his first year went 5-7, and it was obviously impressive enough to get the Michigan State job. That was the COVID year where he took the job in February, took the job in February. March, COVID hit. Had no spring, had no summer. Remember, the Big Ten canceled its season, and then had like a few week ramp up when they decided to actually play, and then played a modified schedule last year, and they went 2-5 with a roster he didn't recruit or know anything about. And then look at them this year when he actually had a full year. They're sitting there at 8-1. They were in the rankings to start. We'll see how they finish, but it's just evidence of just looking at one data point doesn't tell the whole story. Let's see. Jimbo can go fly kite. Michael Porter. What is that? Coach O's telling him not to run. I don't know what that is. Palermo Trapani. Mickey's brother Vance also played Shaw Catholic League. Vance Joseph is Vance Joseph was the head coach of Denver. He's with the Cardinals now, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's the defensive coordinator of the Cardinals. He's DC of the Cardinals right now. Yeah, dude. Derek Joseph, Vance Joseph, Kelvin Joseph. I mean, Kelvin Joseph, Mickey Joseph. The Josephs are like high school football royalty in New Orleans. So it made a lot of sense. All right, we might be just about done, y'all. Let me see. Anything else? Daryl Thompson, Lane Kiffin. Haven't heard Lane's name in a long time, man. Andrew Batto, if we play like we did last night, do you think we make it to a bowl? I do. I think LSU will beat Arkansas this week. I think they'll beat ULM. They'll lose to A&M and go 6-6. That's what I think. Patrick Murphy for softball in 2011. It's true. It's never done until it's done. And even sometimes then when you're at the podium, it's still not done. Billy Donovan was introduced as the Orlando Magic head coach and then was like, yeah, I made a mistake. Went back to Florida. Matt is laying below Tucker in the pecking order. I'll say yes. After LSU waxed Jimbo in 3 weeks, no one's going to want him. Yeah, Brian, I don't think that's going to happen, dude. I mean, I don't know if you've watched A&M lately, bro, but their defense is legit. He's actually getting Zach Calzada to play like a college quarterback. Jason Austin. It's time for the HUD jingle. Okay. Jason Austin. Whoops. It's time for the HUD jingle. Okay. All right. Ask and you shall receive.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone and Terrio. All you need is HUD. Call HUD Roofing. 364-1007.
Ask and you shall receive. That's so good. Let's see. Hugh Freeze, nope. Let's see. This will be in my head all day. Is getting Riley a real possibility? I don't think so. You float a big enough number, anyone could be interested. Kenyon Hudson, PJ Fleck, have not heard his name mentioned at all, but I do know PJ Fleck. I am very confident saying PJ Fleck wants out of Minnesota. He is actively trying to get out of Minnesota. Let's see. Where are we? Coach O said they're very predictable. Durante Jones got the memo. Pete's didn't. Might be just about done, y'all. Okay, please smash the like button. Smash the like button. E-Rock woke up. And then on Facebook, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. Oh, you have been sleeping all day. You have been sleeping. Is he awake? Still sleeping. Oh, yeah. Lazy bones. Let's see. UFC, did you watch last night, Matt? No, I don't ever get to watch the UFC during college football season. I was watching LSU and then doing a post-game show. So no, did not watch the UFC last night. I don't watch any MMA during football because my Saturdays are football, all football. So no, I do not get to watch MMA during football season. I'm looking forward to starting again though. Woo! Excuse me. All right, y'all. Zeus Von Raphael. Good morning from the Philippines. Good morning from the Philippines. All right, we're done. Y'all have a great day. Who dat? Let's go beat up on the Dirty Birds. Y'all have a great Sunday. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.